Hello, my name is Stephen Mayeux, and in this video series, we're learning how to build a random quote machine using HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and JavaScript. And in this video, we're going to go over the JavaScript section, so let's jump into it. Okay, so we've already got our main HTML and our CSS, and if you open it right now, this is what it looks like. This is just some dummy text. But if we click the buttons, nothing happens. So this is where the magic of JavaScript comes in. So yeah, let's get right into it. Now, we're going to do some JavaScript, of course, but we're going to use a little bit of jQuery. Now, don't worry, jQuery is JavaScript. jQuery is just a JavaScript library. It's probably the most popular and most widely used JavaScript library out there. It's been around for 10 years. It's well supported. The documents are great. There's tons of modules and different plugins that you can use that were written in jQuery. Even Bootstrap uses jQuery to a certain extent. So let's go ahead and let's add jQuery to our HTML file. We have our main.js already included, and we added that in the first video. This is where we're going to write our code, but we still need JavaScript. So I'm going to come over here, and the JavaScript website, or sorry, the jQuery website is absolutely amazing. The current version is like 3.0. I haven't used it yet. I'm sure it's pretty much the same thing. I'm going to use the 2.2 version and minified. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that, put it right here at the bottom of my body tag. Oops. Okay. All right, that looks good. So now I got my jQuery in my main.js file. I mean, you can certainly write all of this code that we're about to do with just vanilla JavaScript, plain JavaScript, but jQuery makes interacting with the DOM and doing certain effects a whole lot easier. Just to give you an idea, let's see here. Yes, okay. So if I wanted to, if I wanted to, where is it? If I wanted to click this button and make it do something, I would have to essentially write all of this code. Let me just copy and paste that in here. And this is just vanilla JavaScript. All right, what does that look like? It would look like this. And all right, so some code in here. But you would have to type all of this just to make something happen. In jQuery, it's so much easier. Okay, in jQuery, this same code that you see right here, it would look like this. Okay, we would grab that, say click, function, event, all right, and then some code here. All right, so jQuery, this is jQuery, this is JavaScript. All right, jQuery is JavaScript. It just makes it so much easier to interact with the DOM and all the elements on the web page. So we're going to use jQuery. jQuery is really cool. You can do all sorts of awesome stuff with it, and interacting with an API is so much more easier in jQuery than just plain vanilla JavaScript. Okay. So speaking of APIs, where are these quotes coming from? You saw in the example that we would click the button and we would get a new quote, but those quotes were not hard coded in this file. They were getting fetched from another source, okay, from another server somewhere. And this server, all of these quotes, they're being served up by an API. In our case, we're going to use this API, the forestmatic.com, and here it says, here we collect the most inspiring expressions of mankind. and its own website. You can get quotes from them, and this is what we're interested in: Forestmatic API. Now, for a beginner, this is all that you get, and I gotta say, the people who make this website, good job, but your documentation isn't that, very expressive, especially for beginners. All right, basically in an API, you make a request to a web address. But instead of getting text and images and HTML and CSS files that you would when you normally visit a web address, you get data in other formats. You can get data in XML, in JSON, JSONP, and a lot of other things. So for our purposes, we're going to get this in JSON data. JSON or JSON, that just stands for JavaScript Object Notation. And well, how does it work? Well, essentially, we got to do several things. This is the root URL right here. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put it in here. And then if you go down here, we got to get the quote using this method. Okay, the get quote method. It gives us some options. So we need to include this, the method name to invoke. We need to give it a format, so one of these formats. Okay. The key is optional. We don't need a key. The language, we can choose Russian or English. Okay, so we're going to choose English, and then some other thing that's also optional. We don't need that either. So this is an example right here. All right, so this is our root URL, and an API, it takes a number of different parameters. So after the root, we put in this like question mark, and then all of these here it is. All of these different parameters. Okay, they're separated. Here's one parameter, the method. Then there's an equal sign, and then some value. And then the next one, it's separated with the and symbol. And then here it is. And then here's the value for it. Here's the format. And here's the language. So I'm doing this. I'm using the get quote method. That's crucial. And I don't need the key, so I'm going to take that out. The format is in JSON, and the language is English. So when I go to that, look at this. This is what I get back. And I can refresh it, and I'll get a totally new quote each time. So I'm making an HTTP request, an API request, and this is the information I'm getting back. By the way, I'm using a Chrome extension called JSON View. I think it's called JSON View. Let's see, what is it? Let's see. Yeah, it's called JSON View, and you can get this from the Chrome store or the Chrome app store. It's free, so it doesn't matter. I like to use it because this is what it would look like normally in your browser, and that's kind of hard to read. When you're dealing with other APIs too, for like the weather or stock market prices or something like that, you're going to have like a lot of information, maybe 50 or 100 lines, and it's all going to be like messy. So that's why I like using this extension. It just makes it so much easier to look at. But you can see it begins with it's wrapped in curly braces, so that's basically like an object. And these are keys or properties to the objects, and this is the values. So we got 5 different properties that gets returned from each request. We get the quote text, the quote author, the sender name and sender link. And these are usually blank. And then also the quote link. All right. So yeah, this is how we access the data. We make an API request to this address right here, and then we just get a response back, and then we treat that response, or we handle that response exactly like it's a JavaScript object. So it sounds really complicated, but I mean, if you think about it, we're just making a request to an address and we get something back, a response, in this case in JSON. So let's jump into the text editor. Okay, we're going to be writing in jQuery. So the very first thing that you got to do, you got to start with document.ready function. Okay, and basically all jQuery documents start this way. It just means, hey, when the web page has loaded, load this function. This is ready to go. All right, so that's what all this means. When the web page loads up, this JavaScript is ready to fire off. All right, so let's make an AJAX request. In other words, let's access this API. So I'm going to create a new function. All right, and I can write regular JavaScript in here too. I can mix jQuery and JavaScript. It's all the same. So function, let's say get new quote. Okay, and I'm going to use a jQuery method. So by the way, I can write jQuery, or I can just write a $sign. So a $sign means jQuery. So $.ajax. Okay, and that just means making an API request. And basically, the AJAX request it takes a lot of different options here. So let's go over it one by one. First thing we need a URL, and we need that base URL. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy it right here. Right, it's going to be a string. And then remember earlier from the API website, okay, I showed you all of these different parameters. So the method parameter is one, and it has a value of get quote. And then we don't need the key, but the format is another parameter, and the language is another parameter. So all of those we put in this other object called the data object. Okay, so I'm going to say method. Okay, we got to give it a get quote, and the language, I think it's called lang, is en, and the format is going to be JSON. Okay, so basically I can, let me come back over here. What happened here? Oh, yep. Let's see, I just want to show you something really fast. All right, so I mean, I can just take this whole URL right here with all of the question marks and the and symbols and everything, and I can put it in this URL, or I can just parse it out and put all those parameters in this data object. It's solely up to you. So doing this right here would be exactly the same thing as just doing something like this. Oops, let me go back. Like this, okay. Exactly the same thing. I prefer the other way. It's just a bit neater and nicer. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. Now, if we have a successful response, then we're going to need another object, okay? A callback. So we're going to say success function, and it takes an argument. Let's call it response. Okay, and I'm going to say the quote. Okay, let's just log it out to the console first. Console.log. Okay, response dot quote text. Okay, now I'm gonna save this, and when the page loads, I just automatically want to run that this function. So I'll just invoke it right now. Get new quote. Okay, that's good. All right. Now let's take a look at our console. Let's just see what's happening here. So I'm going to open it up. Go to the JavaScript console. All right, and then reload. Okay, uncaught reference error. Oh, okay. I don't think I saved my my HTML. All right, let me try it again. All right, there we go. So I forgot to save my HTML file with my jQuery reference. That's why I got that $sign error. Now we got a new error. All right, let's take a look at this. Let me see if I can blow this up for you. Oh no. Oh. Wait. What the heck? I can... Okay, excuse me. See, I want the... Can I make the... Oh my god. How can I... Oh my freaking god. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's see. How do I want to zoom in. 1 second, guys. I screwed something up. All right, console. All right, Chrome console zoom in. It was letting me zoom out, but it would not. How to increase? Okay. All right, if you just need a Control plus. Okay, all right, let me try this. Control 0. Oh, good. And Control plus. Okay. But Control plus doesn't seem to work. I really want to blow this up. No. All right, for some reason, Control plus, maybe, oh, here's another one, Apple Carrot. Let me try that. All right, Apple, yes, that's what I want. All right, perfect. Let me zoom in. Okay, I get this nasty error right here. XML HTTP request cannot load. All right, and this is that URL that we're trying to access. No access control allow origin header is present on the requested resource. Origin null is therefore not allowed access. Okay, so what's happening here? Sometimes for certain APIs that you try to access, especially the ones where there's no sign up, required at all, you might run into this problem. Access control allow origin. All right, access control allow origin, and it often comes up in certain browsers, especially Google Chrome, and it's basically like a security thing. Chrome is trying to protect you. Chrome is just making sure that you're not trying to access something like malicious that could harm your computer. And I mean, if you just do a Google for access control allow origin or CORS, C-O-R-S, they talk all about it. Okay, and this is from the official MDM website. That's really good. And there's some more articles about it. Essentially, with the type of API we're trying to access, we can't do it as simply as this. With other APIs, it will be as simple as this, and the documentation that's available, it's going to be so much better than this right here. So we need to make some changes. And if you ever run into a problem with an API, if you're getting this access control error, all right, you just have to change a few things to make it work. And we have to use something called JSONP. Okay, you remember JSON. JSON is that type of data that we're getting back. Now we need JSONP. And JSONP is a technique used by web developers to overcome the cross-domain restrictions imposed by browsers' same origin policy. So this is just sort of a workaround against this, and it's called JSONP. Again, there's tons of websites explaining all of this. So in your free time, go check it out and whatever. But here's the most important thing: if you want to get around this, we just have to add a couple of extra options. Okay, we're going to add the JSONP object, and we're going to call it JSONP. And I know that seems like kind of weird, but just trust me. The data type is also going to be JSONP, and then we just have to change it right here to JSONP. Okay, now I'm going to refresh the page, and I should get a undefined. Let me try that again. Undefined. See. Oh, quote, not test, quote, text. All right, let me save that. Let's try it again. And there you go. Kings and cabbages go back to compost, but good deeds stay green forever. That's a good quote. I can just put in the whole response in there. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, and we got the object. So this is the object, and I can just use regular dot notation to access all of the values. So to get the text, I would just have to say response.quote text, and to get the author, quote author, just like that. And that's it. So working with APIs can be a little bit tricky, especially if the documentation isn't good. So always, if something isn't working, log it out to the console. And if you're getting undefined, like for example, if I did quote authors instead of author, okay, I'm going to get it undefined, so it doesn't exist. And for example, if I didn't include these keys right here, I would get that error. There it is. So always, try to, log things out to the console so that you can see exactly what you're getting. All right. So enough about that. Let's keep going. So we're making our AJAX request, and we have to add in these extra options right here for the JSONP to work around Google's sort of protection for us. Okay. And if we are successful, now we can do some cool stuff. All right, and I'm going to create just a global object up here. I'm just going to call it var quote. All right, and if it's successful, quote will equal response dot quote text. And let me make an author variable too. Var author response. Made a typo there. Quote author. Okay, and I'm defining these variables outside of the function, because if I define it inside of this function and then I try to access those variables from outside, I'm going to get it undefined. So that's why I'm declaring it out here. Okay, so I did that. And some of these quotes, if you play around with this API a lot, some of these quotes don't have a quote author. It just comes back as an empty string. So if that is the case, then we need to change something. Now I don't want to return it like an empty string. So if author, okay, if there is an author, if it's not an empty string, and remember, an empty string in JavaScript is a falsy value. So if there is an author, if it's not an empty string, then we're going to change the text of our web page. So that would be author.text. Okay, and I'm going to say See, oh yeah, I'm gonna say, let me change a few things. Oh, that's okay. So if there is an author, it will say this, said by, and then author. Okay. Else, if there is no author, if it returns an empty string, okay, I'm going to select the P element. By the way, I'm selecting the P element here. This P element has an ID of author, so that's what I'm referring to. And I'm going to get rid of these default values. Okay, so this is the quote, and this is the author. Okay, save that. All right, and if there is no author, then I'm just going to say something like unknown. Okay, so that is our handling our possibility edge case with the author right there. And then I'm just going to fill in the quote now. So the quote, the text is going to be quote. Okay. Yep, just checking my notes right here. Don't want to waste anyone's time. All right, so I'm going to save that. And let's refresh. Okay, good, good. So every time that I refresh, I get a new quotation. Okay, and look, that one has an unknown author. But if I refresh again, okay, I get another one said by Confucius. Okay, so I want to hook up my my buttons to the function. Oh goodness, I need some padding right there. What happened? I thought I added some padding to that. I'll take care of that in the final video. All right. So right here, I'm calling it. So this gets run with every time the page loads, but I will also want to run the function every time I click the button. So I'm going to go over here, and this is my get quote button. Okay, and it has a class of get-quote. So let's write the code for that. No, that's what I need. Get quote. All right, so in jQuery, classes are defined by a dot and IDs are defined by a hash. So on click function. And then I'm just going to say get new quote. And it will run that function. Okay, so let's save that. And let's refresh the page. Okay. So now our button works, and that's pretty cool. But let me show you something here. This is something that trips up some people. All right, I'm gonna just make my screen, smaller right there, and watch this. When I click the Get Quote button, all right, it gives me a new quote, but it does something annoying. It makes the page jump up to the top. And you can see it jumps up to the top, and then like half a second later, the quote changes. That's super annoying. All right, how can we fix that? Very, very easy. You see our callback here for the click event handler? Okay, we're going to give this an argument, call it event, and I'm going to say event prevent default. So save that. We're going to go back to the page and refresh. Okay, and let's try it again. Now look at that. I can click the button and it's not jumping to the top. So why does this happen? Well, anytime you click a button or you submit like some sort of form event, the browser is going to either do that annoying kind of jump up to the page thing to the top of the page, or it could even reload the page depending on what the element is. And it's very simple to prevent that. You just give that callback an argument, and then you call prevent default on it, and that's all that you have to do. Okay, so this looks good. One minor thing here that I'm noticing is when I refresh the page, or if I click the button, like you can kind of see momentarily, well, all right, not right now. Let me refresh the page. You can kind of see the box is blank, and then the API, and then the quote like appears like a second later. And let's see, let's try it again. There's like for half a second that box is blank. And that's not such a big problem. This is where the placement of the JavaScript comes into play. I wonder what would happen if I took this and I loaded it up before we loaded up the HTML. I don't know what's going to happen. This might not change anything, but I wonder if this will change anything. Let me try again. All right, doesn't look like it. It looks like the delay, it looks like the delay is about the same. All right, it just takes a while for the looks like it takes a while for the API response to come back. All right, not a huge deal. So in this case, the JavaScript is getting loaded before the DOM, and I guess, yeah, it's not an ideal situation. If we were using another like JavaScript framework like Angular or React, I don't think we would have this issue so much, but whatever. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm just going to leave it there, just to call it good. All right, so the final thing that we have to do to successfully complete the second user story, and we've got the first user story ready. Okay, you click a button, you get a random quote, and this is coming from an API. We're not hard coding anything, so that's pretty darn cool. Now all we have to do is just share this quote via Twitter, and then we'll be done. So that is called class share quote. So let's make another event handler for that. Share quote on click function. I'm going to give it that same thing that we did before, event.prevent default. Okay, now this is something that I don't expect you to know. I just had to look this up, how to do it, and a lot of your questions, how you're gonna do coding, you're just gonna find the answers on Google or on Stack Overflow anyway. So let me just show you the easiest way to make this available on Twitter. So window.open. Window is like an object in the browser. When you run JavaScript in the browser, the window object is available to you, so you can open up like a new window. Okay, and we're going to pass in this kind of long, URL. So I'm gonna copy that for you right here. And this is the part where I don't expect you to know it. I just found this, looking up easy ways to share things on Twitter. All right, so we got that. And then I'm going to say encode URI component, I believe. Let me double check my notes. Yeah. And URI is in all caps. Component. Okay. And then here is where we will share, any text that we want. So we'll say quote, and we'll say said as a quote, and then we'll just say dash dash with another space, and then author. So let me save that. I'll refresh the page. Okay, and okay, the quote still works. Okay, and it'll open up a new tab, and look at that. This quote here, all I can say about life, oh God, enjoy it. And there it is, all I can say about life, oh God, enjoy it. So if you are already logged in, you can just log in and tweet, and there it is, you can log in and tweet it. So that's pretty cool. And you can do the same thing with like other social, networking sites. It works exactly the same way. All right, so that about does it for this video series. We'll have like one more video just to wrap up. And since we're getting kind of long in this video right here, yeah, we've been doing this for quite a while now. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video just to wrap up. Okay, goodbye.